Good afternoon. Today I'm going to be making another dress with this kind of fabric. This is my idea, so I'm not sure what the best way to go about it is, but what I do know based off of what I've worked on in the past is for the skirt, I think I'm going to start with that part first. Since I do want it to be ruffled, I'm going to do this is the way that I do the press, the final, the whatever it's called, because I find that that's easier. I do have a twin stitch thingy, but honestly, I have found it easier just to like fold, go like this, and then, call it a day and start sewing. So I'm going to do that first, and then at the top part, I'm going to do the ruffle situation, and then based off of that I'll see what works best. I am going to try not to use a zipper, so I might add an elastic in the waist. I'm not sure quite just yet, but that's the plan, and let's get cutting. I started off by cutting the top and then obviously the bottom. Something was weird with my machine, so I ended up doing the seam lines, I guess you could say, opposite than what I'm used to. This is the bottom of the dress first, just because I do find it easier to do that before doing the ruffles. Like you'll see right here, when you do this, it's so easy to just put it all the way to 4 and then all the way to 9, and then slowly pinch them in together based on the size. And since I did want this to be zipperless, I added an elastic. The dress is basically done, so this is more or less what it looks like. I do definitely want to add some straps. As you can see, since I did do it just straight off, there's like some excess space here, but my idea is I do want to add straps, so when I do that I'll probably make it more like this. That way it connects, and then I'll lower this a little bit too, and then we should be all set. But yeah, this was actually pretty simple, didn't take too long, and let's get on with making the straps, and then I'll obviously show how it looks like on the mannequin so you can see the full. I did want the straps to be a little ruffled. I did them inside out with like a high tension and stuff like that, and then twisted it over. This is what it looks like. Here is the final dress. So as you can see, I did add some straps, and these are made from like the little ruffles kind of thing. Then here you can kind of see how it's slightly ruffled, and I did add the elastic after all. And then down here you can see the little stitching. I did realize that for this one it was a little bit weird. I don't know if it's the fabric or like the way I was doing the machine, but long story short, I had to do it from the outside in rather than inside out, because then the inside was like the bobbin was getting stuck from the bottom. So I tried to play around with the tension, but nothing really worked super well. So those are like my only two things that I noticed with this fabric in particular. I don't really know what it is. Like cotton, I think, is what I tried to buy, but it might be polyester. I don't know. But this is my second dress. Ooh. Good afternoon. Today I'm making hopefully a t-shirt dress. So right now I actually have fabric realistically on me. I cut a hole at the top of it just because I wanted to see more or less like how it could work. I really think this is going to be one of the easiest to make, but I could also be so wrong. But long story short, this is the idea, right? I like the way that the cuffs, or however you want to call this, kind of lay flat, and then I don't know if you can see, but I have like some butterfly clips clipping where I think it would look best to go. And my plan is, because right now I have it inside out, is to sew the sides. I'll leave this at the end because I do want it slightly lower, so I'll probably like cut in the middle and then do that whole shebang. But what I want is like a flowy t-shirt style dress, which I'll show here. And that's kind of what I'm going to do. So the length is like exactly where it needs to be. I would get up and show the rest, but there's literally like a bunch of space in between, so like there's no really need to show that right now. But I'm going to try to time it and see how fast I can actually make it, because I feel like this should be a pretty quick and easy dress, but it could also be very wrong. So let's see how it goes and if I like it at the end. This is probably the easiest I've ever done. I just made sure to connect where I wanted the sides to start, and you just went right through it on a regular stitching pattern. And I did stretch it out a little bit just to make sure that it wasn't getting clumpy once I finished. Just put my hair in a ponytail. But here's what it looks like right now. So this is all sewed, and now what I have to figure out is the neckline. So I did cut this into a V, and I kind of just tucked it in just to see like how that would look. So honestly, I'm not hating this as like an option. I really do like the little ruffles, or I don't know what they would be called because it's not ruffles. So I don't know if I want to keep it as is, because this kind of cut honestly doesn't look too bad. And I don't really want to ruin it because I think it just like looks really cute and flowy and whatnot. And then obviously this down here I have to fold in one another. But other than that, honestly, this is pretty quick. I think no more than 30 minutes just doing all of this. And that's because like I kept looking and not looking at myself, and then making sure that this was even, because the higher it goes the less like ruffle, more like t-shirt vibe it is. But I definitely want it flowy and like that. So now let's work on the neckline. I might do slightly lower just because it is very like high up on my neck, but I don't hate it and I think it looks really cute. So let's keep going. This is the final product. It's honestly so comfortable, and I wore it I think a couple days ago just out and about, and people liked it. I will say it's one of those things that I could go back and forth with either adding actual sleeves or just leaving it as is. I think it's just nice to have it so relaxed and comfy, but it is one of like the easier things I did, and it took no more than an hour or two if I'm being honest. So this is definitely beginner friendly, and yeah, let's see what else I end up making. Bye.